So we're going to look at um, adding a details view, but tying a grid view to the details view, so we can do our selection off the grid view and then actually do our editing in the details view. So to do this, we need both controls on here. And again, I'm going to grab the grid view from the Database Explorer. It's the 2-for-1 deal, so I just grab him, drag him off. I get the grid view and the data source. I don't have to create this. And the one thing I want to turn on here is well, actually I'm going to turn on paging sorting, but the one I want to do here is selection. I'm not going to turn on editing and deleting because, again, I'm assuming I'm going to give this to a student work or something like that. I don't want them to edit from here. I want them to edit in the details view, and I don't want to let them delete. So I do this, and then the next step is to actually add the details view. And to do that, we go to the data section of the toolbox, grab a details view, drop it on here. It's going to make me do it in source view. So I go to source view. Put the details view on. And while I'm in here, I'm going to actually fix this. And if you remember when we do the grid view, it messes up our path name for our database. So I got to put the // on the front of that. So I fixed the path name. But now I have my details view on here. I'm going to go back to design view to add his data source. You notice my access data source for the grid view I got for free. This one I need to add myself. So I talk to Rob. Choose. I'll get to you in a minute there, Juan. But then choose. I want a new data source. Say access database. Find our database. Say next. And then here's where, okay, I need to choose the correct table. But here's where things get a little tricky. I want to go to the where button. For the column, I want to say where the ID column comes from a different control. And that control is the grid view. And again, what we're saying here is the thing I want to see in my details view is the record that is selected in the grid view. So that's what this query is saying. So I need to make sure and click on add to add the query. Say OK, and then I also want to make sure and click on advanced here so I can generate the main one is this update query when we're doing the editing. So I say OK, say next and finish. And then the last thing I'm going to do is on this details view, I'm going to come over here to the properties, and you don't have to do this, but it just saves a step, and then say the default mode. Oops, sorry. We say the default mode is edit. So when the details view starts up, rather than being in read mode and having to click the edit button, it's just going to already be in the edit mode. So that gets everything on the screen. We could test it out, but let's, we have the problem where we make our changes in the details view and they're not reflected here when we do the update. We need to force this guy, the grid view, that every time we make a change to go back and refresh his data. So to do that, we're going to go to the VB file, and actually we've got some in here, so I'm going to strip this out. So normally when you get your VB file to look like this, let's actually just do what we would normally do. So normally I'm going to be in here. I'm just going to double click on the gray area, and it's going to take me here to my VB file for that same thing. I'm going to strip this protected sub page load out of here, and then I have to go find the code to stick in here. And I should have this loaded already. But it's out there on the network drive, and you won't have to do this drive mapping. I just have to do this every time. So it's out there on the O drive in the 218 folder and a file called gridview detailsview sync code. And I'll just open this up in Notepad. We just want to copy this code. So I'll copy it, come here to my VB file, and I want this between or just before the end class. You know, I want it to actually be inside this partial class thing and inherits. But I'll paste it in here, and it doesn't really matter where. And again, as long as you don't change the name of your grid view or your details view from grid view 1 or details view 1, this code will work. So just make sure and save everything. And now when we test it out, if I didn't forget anything, again, we don't see the details view until something's selected, but I can select an item here, and you notice I'm already in edit mode. We can change a couple things. And then, oh, okay, I forgot something, right? What did I forget to do? There's no update button. What did I forget? To see that edit button, I need to go to my details view and do what? Enable editing. Okay, so let's try it one more time. Okay, so again, we'll look at this one, record number 6. Now we have the update down there, so we can again change this. As soon as we say update, you notice now it's changed and it's reflected in the database. So a lot of clicking, right? Click here, click here, click here. But do this 2,000 or 3,000 times and remember all the clicks.